Are you looking for a solution to help you manage your context to deliver to your AI agents right out the box? If so, this video is for you. In today's video, we're going to be looking at AgentOS. This is actually a user-suggested topic. Thanks for the nudge. So what is AgentOS? So AgentOS is actually a context management framework, and it's built around a lot of the previous concepts we talked about in the past, but it's a lot more refined. So if you saw my last video, how crucial context is for keeping your AI from drifting, especially in small amounts and pinpoint, then this is where AgentOS does really well. It helps really refine the context that's passed your AI agent, so you don't have to bloat it too much and you can get the best performance out of it. If you haven't seen my last video, it should be on screen here somewhere. All right, so this is what we're going to be covering in this video. We're going to look at how to install AgentOS, how it works in new and existing projects, my experience with it, and how it works behind the scenes, and how you can steal some of these good thought patterns and actually apply it to your own. All right, to jump straight into it, let's have a look at what AgentOS is. On screen, you can see I'm in the builder methods. That's the AgentOS I'm talking about. There's a platform called AgentOS, not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the AI context here. So make sure you go to buildermethods.com to read more of the documentation. But essentially, what they've done is they've curated different lists of rules and slash commands and agents to work with Claude Code and Cursor to really get this going. AgentOS is mainly around these three concepts. It's spec, product, and standards. And what I found by digging into it, there's actually a lot of power behind the system. So on screen now, you should see my mapping of all the flow that this actually does. And it looks very complicated on screen, but behind the scenes, it's actually not that bad. But you can see how much functionality you can get from referencing different rule files to help streamline certain context. And I find this very fascinating. So we'll jump into how to get it installed now for a working project and how you can go about initialize. Jumping back to Content AI, you can see this is where the specs, product, and standards come in. And we'll be looking at how we install that. I'm going to actually use the per project one, not the base installation. But essentially, if you want to do a base installation, you want to run it from the root directory, the agent.os, and then you can run the command here to actually install it in that directory. But I prefer just doing this per project basis. So I'm going to do the project installation over here. And you can see here, there's different ones. And if we just scroll across here, it's based on the different tooling. So you go to Claude Code, you got Claude Code and Cursor together, or just Cursor. We're going to do the Claude Code one. So I'm literally just going to grab that one line here, and I'm just going to jump to my project. All right, now that I'm in my project, we can see here I've got Claude Code and Open Code, nothing really in it, so nothing really in Claude, and I'm literally just going to run that command. And what this is going to do is this is just going to pull in AgentOS and start installing it everywhere. So we can open here, and we can see there's some new set of instructions. So we can see there's instructions core, and it's also added some things to the .claude environment, so agents and command. Right, so one thing to note when we are looking at this, there's different types of the way you can work with AgentOS. What they do specify is update the standards to match your project base. Depending if it's a new project or an existing one, you've got different commands to run. And they have these // command. We can also see if we want to add it to existing one, we can say analyze product. So the two different ones is plan project and analyze product. Those are the main two. For my one, I'm just going to analyze product in this one. So if we literally just come here, I'm just going to clear, I'm going to run Claude. So you'll see Claude will start. It will have these / commands that are here. And we're going to basically say analyze product, which is this one. And we can literally see what's happening in here. It's referring back to the .AgentOS instructions call analyze project.md. Very, very simple. Right, so I'm literally just going to analyze, and we can see it popped up there. We're going to run it. All right, so we can see it's already got a list of tasks that it needs to run through to grab all of this. Currently, I'm actually running this in my AI tool coding analyzer. So it's a tool I'm building at the moment just to analyze different AI products so I can give different scores across different metrics. So I'm actually using this for the first time on this repo with AgentOS to see how good it is for actually understanding what the project's about and what they're trying to do. So We can see here it came back with some results. It needs to understand the product vision, current state, roadmap, and team preferences. And it found that it was running in the bun runtime, which is great. It has a plugin architecture. Yes, that is correct. So I'm going to make this very flexible so I can put different metrics in. So it got that. It also found the different features. It's got a GIF analyzer, plugin system, multiple AI tool comparisons, and CLI interface. Yep. And yep, it even found the test mono repo. So looks like it got the overall testing environment for this. So that's good. All right. So I'm just giving it a bit of extra details so you can run ahead, and it should start creating the mission statements and things like that. One thing to note, it did say in standards here is what we could come to. So we could come here, break best practices, and just update this to anything that we think's kind of missing. Same with the code style. You know, if you have different coding style that you want to work on, you could come here, tech stack. You can see it's kind of got a standard tech stack here. You could also come and update this. And, you know, also the same here. This is all pretty much empty. So standards, you should think of the one that you want to customize per project or your team, whatever the case may be. All right, so it's just updating the mission. So now we can see here, it made this product base directory, and this is where it's going to keep a lot of these mission light files. And just jumping back, what is this actually about? If we looking at the documentation, correct, we can, if we go a bit down, how this really works is when you have an input and you kind of want to like make a command, what's actually happening. It has different ways it can look at things. Okay, so if it needs to find the standards, how can it find the standards? Goes global rules and then user preferences, or in the standards tech stack default. And mission light is just like getting the quick, what is the quick mission of the project? It can quickly grab that. So you can see how it tries to split up the context so it can quickly grab that accordingly. Another thing to note is in agents here, I found this quite interesting. They've got this context fetcher here. So you can basically, before you starting a project, you could use the agent context fetcher to actually get a lot of the context to help define the task that you're trying to solve. And that way you're only limiting the context coming in, or you can always refer this agent in your main agent to say, hey, every task coming in, always use the context fetcher to actually get context first and then proceed. So this is a very interesting pattern that they've decided to work on. All right, while we're waiting for that to spin up, let's just carry on with the documentation here. So at the moment, what we're doing is we're adding it to an existing product, and it's analyzing it, and it's making all different contexts that it can quickly grab and then push into the agent. Remember, this is not always going to be 100% when you run this. This is just the initial 80%. I would recommend always going into the files and just adjusting it according to the project, because AI is not always 100%. You always want to make sure it's refined, especially for these core files. What I've found is, again, it just makes some assumptions, but that's the standard, and just refine that down. These are like the way to think about using it. You always want to use the / commands, which refer to the agent. So we can create a spec, create tasks, execute tasks. Again, we can see there's a lot of different agents, commands, and things that have been added because of AgentOS here. But I don't want to overwhelm you with all the complexity. But essentially, all you need to know is it's referring to different rules and contexts that we discussed previously in like the agent flow. But it's a lot more comprehensive in terms of what it's trying to do here. What I find very interesting about this project is you can start seeing the techniques they're using and apply it to your own workflows, especially if you've got a very like detailed workflow in terms of testing and steps of how context should be passed or retrieved. This is a great use case study to actually understand all of that. So we can see what it did, what it created, what it found, and basically the next steps. Again, what I would say is go here into your standards and just make sure the standards are what you want. Then double check the product decisions. You know, here it's just it's pulling what it can, and maybe this might not be 100% and you could just adjust it according, you know, and the same with the mission light. Maybe it doesn't really have some of the core features that you think are really important in terms of like, and run. In this case, I'm saying run button tests because it might be important that it needs to reuse button to run some of these tests. And you could just work through each of these files to make sure they match what you expect. But now we can use AgentOS. Again, next one would be probably create some tasks or execute and then execute the task after we've done that. And if we want to plan a new project or feature, I can just start using plan product. This is just a quick insight into AgentOS, just in terms of the power of just trying to really try separate context in bite-sized information. So we're not overloading that context window and we're really refining it. Just to show you what this looks like on the GitHub, we can see it's very much what we're pulling in. It's just literally the different agents, the commands that for Claude Code, the .claude, and then the instructions for the .agent file. It's following those similar practices that we talked about, how you using slash commands. Maybe that is to initialize a certain state. So you use your slash command to define what you're trying to do, and then using agents to kind of keep context to that one agent. And you're using little document files. In this case, it's using decision mission light.mds, like to just grab certain bits of context, so the agent doesn't have to scan the whole code base to get what's actually going on in the project. We're going to take a lot of these concepts and start applying to our own workflows so we can really refine it. My limitations, I would say, is it doesn't always get the spec 100% right. So you definitely have to go in here, the product side, and just update it with your core context. And the other thing I would also say, the standards is you need to change it for your project. Sometimes it doesn't always match. And working with the slash task command, where it makes a task and then works through the task, is very handy. I also approve of like this way of working, so it's really great. All right. So one thing I do want to talk a bit more about the logic behind all the little mechanisms in these rule files, essentially, is it's got direct reference, it's got context fetching, and it even has a fallback sequence, which is just great. So it knows how we should find things in what order. And I think this is quite neat, because if you think about it, if you want to go to a library, you probably need to look in a certain book section. If it's not there, there's probably another one that you can find it. And it just saves a lot of time and effort. And the AI agent isn't just filling up its context with nonsense. And we're really refining it because it knows where it needs to grab the different context. So again, what's great about this design, it's progressive context loading. It has some fallback mechanisms. It's all modular instructions. And you can use it in a Git, so it's version-friendly control. Again, best practices working with AgentOS, add additional instructions in the core folder, update standards, and just always review the documentation that it does make. So some final thoughts. I think AgentOS is just a really great example of showing you how you can manage your context, especially with your rules, slash commands, and agents, to really refine what you're pulling in and get the most out of your AI agents. Like I said before, we understand how important context is and not filling up the context with irrelevant information, really refining it. And that was proven through multiple different research studies. So we need to make sure we're really refining our context. I would say if you're just getting started, you can give AgentOS a try. I'm using it currently right now, but I think I'm going to just take a lot of what I like about it and make my own product that I will use in my own AI development process, because I'm quite similar. So I'm going to steal some of the good things they got going and adapt it to what I think I want to use. If that's something you would like me to share, I will be sharing that in my open code agent folder. So it's mainly for open code, but you can adapt it to Claude code and all the rest of it. If there's any content you actually want me to cover that I'm not covering, and you want a deeper dive in it, please just drop me a comment down below. I enjoy these back and forth discussions so we can actually share information with one another and actually grow together. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. Smash that subscribe button if you want to keep more honest reviews like this coming down, or technical breakdowns. But I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.